Welcome everybody to this week's Collective Imagination show. I do apologise for not being on camera this week. I've had some issues at this end that don't make that possible, but you do get to look at Michael for an hour or so. So, welcome Michael, back from MIA.
Yep, glad to be here. Feeling good, and thanks for having me.
As always. So, and Matthew can't join us this week either, but we do have some stuff to go over in regards to the results from our last show 2 weeks ago.
Excellent.
I don't know if you remember, and we have Mark in the chat room. Mark, you've had some pretty cool experiences as a result of the last show, so I'd love you to call in if you can, or just give me a buzz on Skype, whatever's easiest for you. Yeah, I hear what sounds like a tattooist in the background as well. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, my computer's like acting up. I think I've got a loose fan or something, so I hope it's not too bad. I can try turning down the gain on my microphone. What do you
It's
think?
gone now.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's not. It was just having a moment.
Let's see.
So, Mark,
Is that better?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm just
Can you
having a
still
chat
hear
with
me?
Mark, who's in the chat room, and letting him know that we're here, and we'd love him to come out and share his stories. But towards the end of the meditation that we did, we worked on supporting one another and assisting each other in our own manifestations.
Yep.
And I had, as soon as the show left, I actually had to go somewhere, and I had a direct experience in relation to that. And I won't go into details because it was personal, but what I put into that meditation, I got a direct answer from about an hour later. And things have continued to show up directly in relation to the energy I put into that, or the request or whatever. It's been pretty profound. Can you hear me now, Michael?
Yep, sure can. Yep, keep going.
Well, apparently that sound is really bad. I don't know how. I guess that means it's bad coming through on the live stream.
Is my voice loud enough? Because I can turn the gain down on my microphone a little bit more to.
I can hear you fine.
Okay, let me 1 second. Okay, how's that?
Biggie? I can't hear it now at all.
Can you still hear me okay?
Yep. As soon as you talk, I can hear it in the background though. And now I can hear it again.
How about now?
And it's better according to Biggie.
Okay, am I still coming through loud enough? I've just got my mic turned way down, so okay. I'll get a new computer soon.
So what about you? I mean, how did you feel after the last show, and did you experience anything in direct relation to that part of the meditation that we did?
Oh yeah, it felt great. It feels like I'm always aware at all times of my energy field, the size and the strength of it, and there was a nice increase. It felt like more of myself was there, and so I've just got more energy available for anything, anything and everything. My dream time has increased, and yeah, all of it.
Oh, yeah, I can agree with that one too. Because I was going through a period of not remembering my dreams at all.
Yeah, me too, actually. That's rare for me.
Now, in regards to the other things that we focused on, which was media and banking, in the last couple of weeks, we've had, well, the truth and integrity and transparency in the financial sector. And we've had the launch of a people-created new financial system, which is based on those principles. Now, admittedly, it's still very much in the baby steps, and has a few hurdles to overcome and things to be able to prove out, but they should actually happen in the next week. So the timing of that being launched was just over a week ago, and week and a half ago, so not long after the show as well. And I did note the timing of that. For those people who watch this show, also generally watch the One People show, so they know exactly what I'm talking about, which is Credit Exchange. And when it, well, I've done 3 shows with the founders at this point, and the 3rd show they actually started the show with the whole team coming together and singing us 2 traditional songs, and it's the principles of this are everything you would want in a exchange system, as long as there's a need for one, from what I can see. So I thought that was beautiful timing. I haven't noticed anything else in the media that I can think of off the top of my head. And I didn't notice anybody posting anything in the Facebook page, but you know, I'm all for continuing to support and reinforce, because I do think I can feel that we're making a difference when we're doing the meditations. And Mark Hoser, oh, sorry, probably shouldn't have said your whole name, but Mark, where are you, darling? Give me a call. I want to hear what, because he was buzzing. He was sending me messages just saying, you know, oh my God, after that meditation, oh my God. So, okay, you got to tell. So, all right, thank you, Biggie, for he's going to keep us posted on how bad that noise gets for you guys listening live. Hopefully it won't be too much. So in terms of energetically, Michael, what are you feeling shifting right now? There is oh God, I don't even want to go into it just yet because it's premature, but there is a line of research that I'm following, 2 lines of research that I'm following. And what I'm seeing is more and more information starting to come out on these 2 lines of research, which if they pan out are huge. But I'm sorry, I'm teasing, but because I'm not going to, it's too early, it's premature yet. But to me, it's more and more reassurance, confirmation that we're in that time of the revealing. This is absolutely the apocalypse. You know, there is no stone that's going to be left unturned. And the other thing I've noticed over recent days is the re-emergence of the fear porn around world destruction scenarios. You know, sort of trying to get the preppers back in motion. And for me, that happens, the pattern I've noticed that happening with is when the energetics get really, really good, positive, loving. They the fear, that kind of fear mongering is brought back out again. Cataclysmic stuff. You know, make sure, and they start talking about making sure you've got lots of food and water and got all your cash out of the bank, and you're not in a danger zone, which could be within a certain distance to a volcano or the coastline or, you know, a fault line or whatever. That's the sort of stuff that starts coming out when the frequency of the conscious, the collective, and the planet takes a nice jump in a really beautiful way. It's like to counter that and bring it all back down again. So whenever I see that stuff, I see it as a good sign that we're heading in the right direction. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I just, because of the noise from my computer, I keep my mic muted until it's time to talk. And sorry, guys, I'll take care of that for next week. Yeah, there's a lot of shifting, and I had a pretty profound vision a couple days ago. Nothing that I didn't. I mean, I already knew it intuitively, but it was nice to see it, like the way projections work within space and time that are breathed out from the creator. and it's almost like a wind up watch. Like that's how space and time is created. It's wound up like a watch, and then we're projected into it, and it unwinds, within us. I was shown like a spherical thing of energy that's the root energy behind this creation, and how it was projected forwards and like wound up like a spring-loaded watch, and then set in motion. The profound thing about the vision was that there's only one outcome, like, and that's oneness and a return to unity, a return to God, because it was all breathed out from that spark from the Creator, and there's just no choice but for everything to come back together, because that's, it's just how it works. So it was very, nice. I had a telepathic communication going on. So, there's nothing that can be done about it. Forces that may not want the return to unity can do whatever they want. It's irrelevant. Like the metaphysics behind how space and time projections work uh, state that it's coming back together no matter what, and we're well on the way for that. So
You've just reminded me of two things. The imagery you gave of the clock. I don't know if you've ever looked into the Mayan cosmology and the way the Mayan calendars all work.
a little bit.
But have you ever seen the images?
Yeah, of the wheel.
The wheels with the cogs.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got the calendars within calendars within calendars within calendars kind of thing. Wheels within wheels, and wheels connecting to larger wheels. And it's so precise. It's actually more precise than the way we measure time today. But, and again, there's no altering. There's no, like you just said, there is one conclusion only.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what that brought up. And if anybody wants to look into the imagery, is beautiful if you haven't looked at it already. And the other thing was, I think it was in a show I did recently. Anyway, I can't remember which. Just talking about the whole New World Order concept, the cabal pushed New World Order concept of global government, global currency, global prison planet, essentially. That the very concept of that may well have been created because they knew ultimately we would be heading towards this global unity. So it was a preemptive strike to put us into a state of fear about anything like that, about anything that took us into the direction of global unification.
Mm-hmm.
How you going, guys, in the chat room? Is it too bad still?
Well, they're saying that they hear it when I'm unmuted, but I'm staying muted when I'm not talking. But I just hope it's not overriding my voice. My voice should.
It's not. I can certainly hear you well and truly over the top, but it does. It sounds like a tattoo gun.
Yeah, I'm secretly getting a tattoo on my ankle and just don't want to tell her.
Just slightly off camera. Okay. Well, they're handling it okay.
All right.
Everybody, yeah, they can live with it. They're saying.
Okay. I'll fix it next week. I promise.
So if you've got any stories to tell from last show, you can either give us a call or give me a buzz on Skype if we're Skype friends, or if you're friends with Michael on Skype, or put it into the chat room. Pretend he's not in Neptune. That's a good reminder, Mark. I was having a conversation the other day with somebody around our perception of time and aging. And they said, and this really hit me hard, they said, we measure time and we judge an individual by the rate of rotation of the planet. What has that got to do with who a person is as an individual? And if I was on a different planet that had a different rate of rotation, I would be a different age. If I was on Mars, I'd be 1,000 years old by now. It's so arbitrary, and we subconsciously judge ourselves, others, simply by the perception of time that the person has been on the planet for and how many spins it's done in that time. And it's nuts when you look at it that way. For me, it is anyway.
Yeah.
And whether it's because of, whether it's we assume they should look a certain way or behave a certain way or have achieved a certain number of things or reached a particular level of mental, emotional, or spiritual maturity, or whatever that subconscious judgment is, it's coming from something as arbitrary as that. We're not, for the most part, just looking at the soul of the individual and relating to that. And those who are around small children these days, I'm sure, have had that particular nut cracked for them, because these kids come in and blow you out of the water with their emotional maturity or their spiritual remembering and all of that. But so I'm generalizing. I realize I'm generalizing, but what we judge subconsciously ourselves and others on, it's also, I don't know, it's bullshit. It's the word that comes to mind.
Yeah, it's these little classifications we've got within the space time. We deal with them for now, and as we break through the barriers, though, through the meditation, through the connecting, we begin to see each other's true essence. How and what we are outside of this projection, outside of the space-time matrix, and it's important to be able to see that, and it changes the whole way that we perceive each other, the way that we perceive this world, and I'm looking forward to more and more people becoming experiential that way, so that it gives you just a much more relaxed view on Earth and much better perception of what reality is really about.
Sorry, I was muted. I am going to bring Mark in. Yeah, the more you get to experience your sort of multidimensionality, the more that shatters.
Big time.
Mark Hoser, do we have you?
Yeah, you do. Let me mute my other audio here. Okay, yeah. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
If you're prepared to be on camera, I can bring you into the Zoom room.
Terrible idea.
Okay. Bye, Sophie. So talk to us. What happened to you after the last show?
So it was a lot of stuff. It was the things more that came into focus. And I've been wondering. I wanted to talk with Michael to see if he was seeing it as well. But everything that came into focus was all of a sudden a number of my close associates were talking about the big moves, the big plays that are going on within the international monetary system, as well as the moves by the elders to close down the whole Federal Reserve control of the monetary system and moving into gold-backed currencies for everything. And I mean, it's a whole nother conversation about how that relates to everything that Heather was talking about, and all of that. So I'm almost hesitant to even discuss it here, but you asked, so I'm just kind of like raising it, that a whole bunch of stuff came out in my close network about gold off-ledger gold being moved into the banking system to work with funding people directly, not through the governments, but to people directly with 0% loans, so that people could get access to money for projects without having to go into debt for it, or if they had something to do, that they would get funding, because it's for everybody, not for because we're all working as a collective, on the planet to clean up the planet and bring out technologies that are for cleaning up the planet, improving water, what else, like healing technologies that are not dependent on, that aren't industry driven, but rather healing driven, or supporting life, or harmony with nature. And then I don't know, things just seem to really start popping on the level of like all of the move away from income tax, as well as another thing I was told is underway is a move from an income tax and an implementation of a transactional tax to run government functions. All of that seems like what makes sense to me, what would be workable. And again, I'm hesitant to talk about it here because it's a big discussion. I don't really want to distract from the conversation, because I'm mostly interested in hearing how that can all clear up, and hearing what I'd like to hear what Michael's seeing on that side of things, like just on the matrix level, Earth global level of the monetary system, and whether we're moving to a place where it's cleaner and towards being able to work in a healthier way with all that. Any thoughts?
Well, the way I am with energy and everything is I'm not too visual. Like, I'm not very information based. Like, I hold a lot of soul mass. I'm powerful at manifesting, healing, enlightening people, but I'm not really good like at psychic information.
Okay, I'm not actually hearing Michael. I think I only hear you, Lisa. Do I need to go into Zoom to make this work?
Yeah, probably. I will.
Yeah, just invite me onto Zoom. I've got that running. I'll just go there because I can't hear anybody else.
You don't need to have your camera on if you don't want to.
No, that's fine. I'll do that.
Okay, 1 second. There you go. I'll hang up from you on Skype.
Oh, he just called you direct on Skype?
Yep.
Okay.
So he will be back.
All
right. Yeah, that's the other thing that has shifted in the last couple of weeks. I've had several updates from sort of behind the scenes people talking about the movements that are coming for taking another step forward. You've always got the RV crowd who are convinced the RV is one step closer. It's always next Tuesday, but things have shifted there too. The talk of projects, I've heard that as well, and how to make them more viable. The talk has always come down though. It's gone from millions and multiple millions of dollars will be given freely for projects to, as Mark just said, now it's looking like interest-free loans. So we'll see. Mark, you with us?
Actually, is my audio working?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to kill the other audio so that I don't have a double thing happening here. So I'm just trying to find it again. Okay, well, not necessarily exactly right, that it's just interest-free loans. What I'm seeing is a whole kit of stuff. There was a whole series of things that came out in my own personal network. One was the ambassador funding level stuff, where the families are trying to find ways to fund people directly rather than through the corporate governments downwards, but funding people directly if somebody has an idea. But they're still trying to ramp that up. because it'll be a pretty huge operation um, to sift through the projects to find projects that are actually projects, because a lot of people are posing projects that are really not actually projects. They're just trying to find a way to get some money for their life. And, rather than it being a project, it's actually just, kind of a way to try to find some money to support their family, which they're talking about doing that as well. And there's a whole debt jubilee thing for the countries coming on board with that, as well as the debt jubilee with private debts, for people to like walk away from the fraudulent debt that had been created through just the way that the debt was created before was just that you couldn't go back to a spot where it wasn't a mess. It was too overextended and problematic. And the image that I'm getting is that there's a whole second set of accounts that's all in the new system. They're just transferring everything across to the new accounts, closing down the really severely fiat-based Federal Reserve notes, moving out of that system into the new accounts, but with still the same banks that have been. I'm just telling you stuff that came out after our these meditations that we've been doing and stuff that has been being said to me. I'm not saying that I think that all of this is like the bee's knees answer to everything. I have a lot of questions myself about what we're seeing and who it serves, what serves us as people just wanting to live free and work together, and what's a kind of like a working with still under like a slavery sort of model. So I'd like to actually move into really talking about like what you see, Michael, as far as like how it looks from your point of view of what the whole thing looks like right now, where we're at right now, forwards and backwards, because I feel like we've had some shift, but I'd like to keep fine tuning that as a group, so that we end up where we prefer, as with each step.
Well, as I was saying, like when you were on Skype and you weren't able to hear me, the way I work with energy, everybody has different talents, specialties, like seeing. I'm not very psychic. Like I'm very feeling and emotional based. I hold a lot of soul mass, and I've got the ability to do some pretty amazing things when it comes to healing, manifesting, stuff like that. But I'm not good at all with like viewing past or future. I do have out of body experiences all the time that take place in that, but it's not, not by any means my specialty. So far more like a creator, a projector than I am a foreteller of anything. So, to answer that, I would be telling you, what I'm holding in my heart, what it is that we're projecting for this world, when we do our meditations and everything. And that's for a system with honor and integrity, for a world that understands energy, for a culture of people that understand their inherent unity with each other, with the world around them. Just that these very basic metaphysical truths become common knowledge. And that in itself is going to rewrite the entire thing. I've said this in a couple of different interviews, but we are currently a separation based consciousness, meaning that whether a person has read books or heard philosophies about all is one, that we're in unity, that we're all a part of each other or not, until that becomes experiential, we're still a separation based consciousness. So your average human being right now knows themselves as being themselves, like within their body. Anything that's outside of their body is not their self. So uh, we have rules, we have governmental systems, we have public systems, we have moral systems, the whole work, our art, our science, our math, everything is based on that standpoint, of being separate from anything external to the self. Well, once your average person learns how to connect, how to fuse their soul with their ego to where uh, things past the skin of the body, like the world around them, the ground beneath them, the sky, the other people, once people can feel and know for a fact that this whole entire world is an extension of their very being, that's when we can transfer from separation consciousness into unity consciousness, because every single individual has to know, not just believe, but actually know that the other people on this world are an extension of their very being, that the planet itself is a part of their very body. Once that's obtained, then everything is just going to take a natural shift, um, because the way that we view the world would be completely changed at that point. So everything.
Michael,
Go ahead.
sorry, is that another way of saying whatever financial system we get will be a direct reflection of where we're at
Hmm.
and who we
Yeah,
are?
that's how I'm seeing it. It's just like it's quantum leaping, and I'm not really that concerned about what I'm seeing, the ups and downsides of what I'm seeing. I mean, I could talk about that at a lot of length. What I'm talking about is I'm seeing shifts in some stuff that I go, oh, okay, we're seeing some movement. So it's just an indicator to me that we're actually shifting, and I'd like to continue moving towards what we prefer, um, and end up, staring at each other, going, oh, okay, uh, wow, this is awesome, and then look left, look right, see who's with you still. Like that's how I see it. That's how it feels.
Hmm.
We're all just, and I can feel that part. I mean, I'm really working on tuning into that part where I can feel you in the same space, and have the content as well. Like I can kind of feel you, and I get these images, and things kind of reveal in pictures to me. Um, but um, I've been working with the energy techniques for a while, but not as diligently as I'd like. But I think that my work in the moving back and forth between the dream state and waking, I've been doing mostly. That's been most of my work, and I can see how the integrating of that, being able to move back and forth, um, and say, okay, that's a dream, or I can work on that and work on this, fine tune it, and then work with people like yourselves to fine tune it more as a more of a collective way, kind of. Um, I know I'm not actually probably making much sense, because I'm trying to talk with what I'm seeing, and I think I'm not being so coherent, so I should probably be more quiet.
You sound like Mark always sounds to me.
I know, which means I should be probably quiet.
No, not at all. I love it. But I mean, everything is shifting and everything is becoming well, it always has been, I guess, but a clearer reflection to me of who we are, as opposed to a distorted reflection thanks to, interference. I think the launch of the credit exchange is a great example of that.
Well, I've learned just an incredible amount over the past 5 years when my energy really kicked in, and the thing that I keep coming back to is fifth dimensional truth, and I can't state it enough times. Once your consciousness becomes electromagnetic, which it already is. Everybody's consciousness is electromagnetic. Just when you incarnate, when you're born into a body, your consciousness is fused to the electrical system of the human body, of the nerve fiber system and the neuron structure in the mind, and it's inseparably fused. So all of your presence, all of your conscious presence is contained in the circuitry of the body when you're born as a human. And the circuitry of the body is geared to perceive things through the five senses and through the five senses only. And the five senses have a preset range, a fixed range of vibrational interpretation, which forces you to perceive reality in a physical way. And no other way is even possible until the consciousness begins to expand beyond the range of the nerve fiber system. And that's obtained by gaining more presence, by having more of yourself here in the physical body. Allows you to expand past the nerve fiber system and to begin to perceive things from a pure level. And by that, I mean a soul level interpretation of viewing things. Like uh, we've got five senses, but they're all based on the same thing. So there's really only one sense, and that's vibration. But we've come up with, through the physical body, five different ways of interpreting it: sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell. Well, once your consciousness becomes electromagnetic and you gain a presence not only in the nerve fiber system, but in the very cells of your body, and then outward and past your body, you gain in various degrees a five sense connection wherever you want. You know, you can see, hear, taste, touch, feel, and smell from anywhere, because ultimately the five senses were just a training tool to help teach your consciousness how to interpret universal energies in those ways. So it's quite miraculous. But once you've gotten into the electromagnetic spectrum, as everybody knows, magnetism passes through all matter. Well, that's the huge key to obtaining unity, because from there your presence goes basically anywhere that you want. Though the only limitations are based on your own development, how comfortable you are as consciousness, how much soul mass you can hold to grow your presence even bigger and bigger. So, um, where was I going to go with that? It was about, oh yes, once your consciousness is electromagnetic based and you're past the nerve fiber system, you see that it's inseparably fused to your imagination. And I'll state that it's even that way now. Like if I want to lift my arm up, I have to imagine lifting my arm up. And it happens, instantaneously, but I can't move my arm unless I imagine doing it. That imagination of moving my arm causes the soul body to flex a little bit, which generates the energy from an etheric level strong enough to fire the nerve fibers in order to flex the muscles. So even the way we move our body and think right now is imagination based, but it gets even more apparent once you've soul expanded into pure reality. You see and clearly that whatever you hold the truth of reality to be, then that is what happens. That is what becomes. And it's really that simple. Like from that level, if I'm there and I decide that I'm God, or that I'm the source and that I'm the center point, well, that becomes the truth, and then my presence begins to grow out there. Or if I decide, or the source is something, it's a part of me, but it's something different than me, then all of a sudden I can come into communication with it. Like it can talk to me, it can dialogue. If I decide that the sun is the center of the universe, if I agree to that, then that becomes the truth, and I feel my presence getting pulled into the sun as like a central source. If I decide that my heart is the center, then that becomes the truth. And it's the same thing with manifesting and everything. And why I'm saying this is because we're all merging through these meditations and experiencing the group energy, and it's very, very powerful. But it's all the more critical that we manage our beliefs properly, because that is what's going to formulate what we experience. You also got to understand that there's echoes. Everything that we do echoes forwards and backwards through time. Every single thing. When you get into very high states of clairvoyance, you can catch these echoes, like you can see them happening. So instant change is not, uh, Like the reason I'm saying this is because to prepare people that the change isn't going to be instantaneous, because we still have to deal with all the echoes of what we've put out in the past, because they come forwards into the future. But the more we stay strong in the way we currently choose to perceive the world, the more we stay strong and firm in that, the more the past echoes of how we chose to perceive the world can die down. So the way that we choose to perceive now can start to become more and more the truth. So you have to stay strong. You have to understand that it's all a mental war game at that point. Like if there are opposing forces, and I'm not saying that there aren't. There are, that's obvious. However, the way to begin to dissolve or get past that is to begin to believe more and more that we are the center point. Each one of us is always going to be the center point of interpreting the universe. So you have to learn to stay strong and to validate yourself, to validate your own center more than you validate the external universe. Because once you're electromagnetic, it's completely fused to your mental position. So if I choose to believe that it's really, really hard for me to change this world because it's such a massive, broad scale thing, and that I have to influence a massive collective consciousness, well then that is.
Yeah, all the considerations like this this needs to happen, then this can happen, then that can happen, then that can happen. Is all like I can see how that's just like constructed. If you take it that way, you can create it that way, but also you don't have to. And so
You've just limited it to that, and you've
yeah.
just blocked out everything else. I just sort of feel like I got sucked into one of those mind-bending time travel films. When you talk about how the echo's going back into the past, but then how does that reflect on the on the now? If something you do now echoes back into the past, does that then echo back this way into the present and change the present?
Well,
there goes my brain.
it all depends on how now you are, like, and it works.
Oh yeah, that's gonna help.
Well, it works spatially, like past and future are to the left and to the right. When you learn how to project your consciousness through the time stream, you see that clearly, that if you want to go into the future, you go to the left. If you want to go into the past, you go to the right. So
okay, I've had experiences where it's been forward and backward, literally to the ahead of me or behind me.
Oh yeah, you can arrange it. It's all mental at that point. The reason why left to right is so prevalent is because we, in our culture, we read from the left to the right. So, that's really all that is. I mean, you could make it diagonal if you want. There's really, it's all ways that we've chosen to interpret something that's infinite within space and time. So really, it can be arranged however you want. But what is constant and consistent is that now is deep within your core. So the more you go into center, the more you go within, the closer you get to source, which is in that present moment. And like it's not digital. Like there, like when I said how now you are, like I really meant that. The further deep you get within yourself, the more the world becomes a reflection of where you're currently at. And you can get so deep that there can be instantaneous change. So when you are completely in the now moment, that is so much more powerful than any echoes from the past or from the future, which is changing at any given moment. But yeah, I mean, there's an emotional strength too, uh, with these events, with these time sequences that do their pulsing, and the more emotional energy that's behind a particular one, the more effective it's going to be, the more it's going to affect the present, the future, and the past. So that's why doing these group combinations that we do merging with each other, feeling the love and feeling the strong emotions is what really propels the manifestations, gives them more strength. But we just need to stay patient, to realize always that the greater reality is within. We don't necessarily need a huge group. You know, we can make a very profound change just by each one of us realizing how it all works, that reality truly does come from the inside out, and stick with it. And it's hard because we were born into this matrix viewing it a completely different way. For most of the years of our life, we lived it as though we're a very small being, a very, very small part of a humongous world. When when we got exposed to metaphysics and to understanding energy, it got flipped on its head and like, no, wait, each one of us is bigger than the entire universe. Well, that takes a little bit of time to experience and to get used to it. I've experienced it enough though to where I'm resolved in my head to validate the inner reality, what's within, more than you validate the external reality. Because once again, it's all a mental game once it gets into the electromagnetic. So you've got to view your internal reality, your presence within yourself, as being primary, and everything external being secondary, and sort of like take a nonchalant attitude about when we do meditations, when we do manifestations, and they are effective. We should be accepting of that, in a nonchalant way. Well, yeah, of course, reality comes from the inside out, and we're shifting through an infinite series of parallels. No big deal. Um, so yeah, we just got to keep it up and not fall back into third and fourth dimensional mindsets, and stay in that fifth dimensional mindset where the now moment is the only thing that's real. The past and the future are constructs that are projected from this very moment that we're in. And the longer we can stay true to those truths, then the more the world, the universe around us is going to become a reflection of where we're at.
Okay, I'm going to share something personal, because I feel like my personal situation right now is a great illustration of what you just said. I guess I'm essentially homeless. So when I got back from Bali, I spent a week literally in a treehouse.
Wow.
It was the treehouse that a friend of mine had built for his son. So I spent a week in that, and then an opportunity came up to house sit. So I've been house sitting for the last week and a half, and I'll be doing that until Tuesday. And then I'm going to the Gold Coast for a week. And after that, I have no idea. And every time I take a step forward in trying to create something for myself that's a little bit more stable, something happens. There's only been 2 houses that I've actually rung the agents about, that were in my price range and all of that. And neither of them should have been advertised. It was a mistake, right? On both 2 out of 2. I mean, that just doesn't happen. The friend with the treehouse has offered to build me a nicer treehouse, yet I can't move forward with that for just yet anyway, because of the funds. But and yet this is not worrying me at all. I'm being so in the moment, and I feel like the reason is because there's something lining up for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not to get distracted. I'm not to go off path. I'm not to commit myself to something else. Something's lining itself up. And because I am being purely in the moment and just totally trusting that whatever's next will show up, that I'm perfectly fine with where I'm at. I'm not stressed. I'm not worried. I'm just in the now. And right now, I've got this lovely house to house sit and a very smelly old dog to look after. And it's fine. And as a result, which kind of sounds crazy, but as a result, I'm getting more and more relaxed than I've been in years. and put me in the same situation a few years ago, and it would have been a very different story. But the now moment is perfect, and I'm completely comfortable and completely happy and completely relaxed, and I'm not I'm not worrying about any of that stuff. So to me, that's a sort of a really nice illustration of what you just said.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the way to go about it, because that allows you to compress further into the now moment, which gives you more control over your manifestation. It gives you more power to use so that you can actually, end up in the situation that you desire. When you worry, when you stress, when you do all of these things, that's all past and future based thinking. So that takes you further away from the center, takes you more out there, where you have less power to project to create your reality. So good
And I'm
on you.
holding on to the image of without limiting it, because I don't really care I'm not holding on to or attached to what it looks like necessarily, but just the elements in it of what I want. And I know it'll show up,
Hmm.
and it'll do it in a really obscure way. Is what I feel. But for now, I'm fine, and I'm
Okay.
just enjoying the now
Hmm.
and living in a treehouse. How many people can say they did that for a week? You know, and in the Australian bush, because this really was in the bush. You know, to wake up to a fully grown possum 6 inches 6 inches from your face.
No, what are you doing in my house?
What are you doing in my place? That's my bed. Yeah, exactly. It was quite the experience.
Would you like a cracker?
You did look a bit peeved. No one told me you were moving in. But so, okay, back to societal structures and us getting the reflection of who we are. To me, they're a great indication that we are totally expanding and totally heading in the right direction. The talk that you've been hearing, Mark, the talk that I've been hearing, the emergence of credit exchange, the expansion of that even, and the coming together of the different groups that are out there. You know, you've got your New Earth Nation, you've got now Credit Exchange, you've got a lot of different communities around the planet who are starting to talk to each other now and seeing how they can collaborate and work together and improve upon what each other is doing. It's one of the things I've loved doing for years, is putting people together. You have these conversations with someone and I go, I know exactly who you need to talk to. And, I'm putting these people together. And I've been doing a lot of that again lately. So I know that these conversations are happening. And I just see that as a brilliant step forward.
Amen.
You look like you were going to say something, Mark.
Oh, mannequin man. Mannequin man.
The what?
Mannequin man.
Mannequin man.
I just think it's all looks like it's just stuff happening, like you see, that is the past, that's the future, but I'm getting more and more sense that it really is a projection of now, like it really is. So it's the more that I feel that, the more it's just like, oh yeah, okay. So it's just kind of like a survey in the moment, a survey of where I'm at. Like that's how it feels. Is that how how are you seeing it, Michael? I mean, I like it when you tell it in different ways, because I can see I'm getting more of a picture of what you're saying. In my own reality, I can see, oh yeah, I just shift slightly in myself, and then all of a sudden it moves from seeing certain things to it looks different.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep, that's pretty much that. You got to learn to, like, that what reality is everything you can see, hear, taste, touch, feel, and smell. So the real world is what's immediately around you, because you are forming reality from the inside out. The information streams that we get from internet, from the phone, from the mail and all of that, that it's actually a psychic communication. Each
Huh.
one of us is the center of an earth-based universal projection, and we're overlapping with each other in that way to form an idea of a collective reality, which is, when Columbus was landing, it was said that the natives at first could barely perceive the ships, and it was theorized that that was true because they'd never seen anything like that before. Well, no, I mean that's not the truth. I mean, a native can see an isolated native can see a plane flying over them, no problem. If you've never seen a mountain before, you can see it, no big deal. If you've never been to the ocean, you go look at the ocean and it's right there. What it was is it was a merging of two highly variant collectives. And if the natives would have understood metaphysics, would have understood reality coming from the inside out, they could have felt into what they were perceiving and just said, no thanks, not for me. And instead of tuning it in, they could have tuned it out, and they never even would have met the settlers. Like, it just wouldn't have been possible, because there's, an infinite series of parallel realities all overlapping onto each other. In this modern age, because of the information age, because of the technology streams, the connections that we have, it's becoming, more and more of a unified reality. But you got to always remember, when it comes to manifesting, that the primary is what's immediately around you. So if you're, met by happy, kind, loving people in your day-to-day life, then you're doing really good. And not to validate or not to
Invalidate.
you're right. Just because when you get on the internet and look at the world, that it seems like a mess, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing a bad job with your manifesting. You got to pay attention to what's immediately right in front of you, and if that is good, then you're doing good. If you're surrounded by love and positive experiences, then you're doing good. With everything else, it's a matter of so we can make a worldwide collective reality that's worth experiencing. That's the joy in the work that we're doing now, because the more the merrier, just so long as it's truly merrier.
Yeah.
So today, are we going to work on reinforcing what we've done again?
Mhm.
Tune again.
Yeah, and also, really including that aspect of, like we did last time, with reinforcing everybody's desires and intentions, because bringing more of that was great.
Yeah, I'd like to, once we get connected, I'd like to strengthen our bond as a group, to get us more tapped in to the group energy and to the source consciousness. Compress us as far as we can go into the now moment, and then from there we'll bring back in the media and the financials and smooth that out some more. Loving it in and holding it until it conforms, and then from there we'll just hold space and let each individual use the energy for what they need, healing for themselves, or manifesting any change in their immediate life that they need.
Manifest in the house.
Uh-huh.
True story.
Okay.
True.
A two-story tree. Yeah. Okay. Well, as usual. Well, actually, the one that he designed for me was 3 stories, but
Really?
Awesome.
Wow.
I've seen some awesome tree houses, like full proper tree houses. They're so cool.
yeah, this wasn't that. But I mean, it still looked like something you'd probably
You just
build
had
for the
to
kids
close
to hang
your
out in. But so
One
as
that
usual, we
you-
just have you
the
talk.
one that's awesome. Yeah, one that's awesome when you open your eyes too.
Yeah, that would be good. And that, considering the density of the bush it was located in, something that keeps out the possum, snakes, and spiders.
That'd be nice.
That'd be nice. Okay, Michael, you'll talk us through it as per usual.
Yep.
Um, Okay, I will mute out. And Mark, if you can mute out, and we'll just leave Michael to go with it. So ready, everybody, get comfy.
Okay, I'm going to be using rose quartz crystals. This time I've got two rose quartz wands, and having two is really important. I use crystals in a very unique way. I actually merge consciousness with them. So by projecting my soul through the skin of my hands, I'm able to get my energy, my mind, my consciousness inside of the crystals. Then by using empathy, I do what I call vibrational transference. So once I've got the signature, the magnetic signature and the energy of the crystals, got my soul presence inside of them, then I can transfer that back through to my body, expand that out through the air. In my perception, my body begins to turn into rose quartz, and so does the air around me. So if you guys remember from the last episode, um, if you've got your crystals, it's a nice aid. If you don't have crystals, don't worry about it, because we are doing a group consciousness merger, so you're going to get the benefit of it. But if you want to add to it, I'm going to be using rose quartz this time. So you can use quartz or rose quartz. If you want to get crystals to add to this in the future, then you want to get two, because the technique of this involves mind hemisphere balance. So it's the same thing as when you're opening your third eye. Your mind hemispheres have to be balanced. You can't have too much on one side or the other, or you're not going to be able to magnetize to get enough presence into the center of your mind. Well, to an energy master, once you expand your consciousness, you realize that everything is mine. So my hands are just an extension of my mind. So by having one crystal in each hand, I can put, the moment I put an equal amount of presence in each side, is the moment that the soul energy ramps up and begins to expand from the inside out. So if you want to get crystals for future reference, for the meditations on the show and for your own self, you want to get two of about as close to possible in terms of size and shape. And obviously you want them to be the same substance. But okay, that being said, everybody have their feet planted firmly on the floor, about shoulder width apart, and your hands comfortable either on your lap or on armrests. The most important thing is not to have your hands or your feet crossed. So just have them feet rested comfortably on the floor, hands in your lap or on your armrests. And everybody go ahead and close their eyes. And the first thing we're going to do is merge our mind consciousness with our heart. And the way you do that is by realizing that everything is one. It's all connected. Everything is mind, and consciousness moves faster than the speed of light. Where that's the truth, every single thing is located in the same point. So basically, you can feel your head, you can feel your chest. So obviously, your consciousness is present in both places. Consciousness is not limited on anything physical. So to become heart based, all you got to do is take that presence, what you feel in your head, and translocate it. Literally, just drop it down into your chest. Now you can use a visual for that if you want. The one that I like is imagining that your head is butter and that your chest is like a warm frying pan, and just allow your head to begin to melt, just literally droop down into your chest. So we're slowing down. In order to speed up, in order to access faster vibrations, we have to slow down first, because we're stepping out of our brain. So just slow down and just let that head melt down into the chest. I can feel a lot of you already. Like, as we do this, the energy inside and outside of me just ramps up and builds. So I know a lot of you are feeling that too. Okay, from here we're going to begin to add the breath into it. So I'm going to do a series of in-breaths. What we're going to be focusing on is getting deeper into our center, deeper into the core. So I'm going to put heavy emphasis on the in-breath and no emphasis at all on the out-breath. So what I want you to do is to attach your breath to the energy that you feel, and breathe from 360 degrees. So view the breath as being a symbol of consciousness that does more than just move air. It moves your presence and the energy around you deep within yourself on each in breath. So everybody exhale any air that you got in you right now. And begin a long, slow, contracted inhale. Pull everything in from 360 degrees. And just imagine yourself going deeper within your own heart, within your own chest cavity. And another one. Okay, so just keep that up at your own pace, using each in-breath as a symbol to get your consciousness deeper into the core, into the one soul that we're creating, or that's already there, whichever way you want to look at it. I'm feeling a lot of you really, really strong right now, so that's good. To make my presence more known, I'm going to begin to shift. So I'm going to start moving to the left and to the right. And you'll feel me moving through your own body system in various degrees, depending on how connected you are. Because we're all in the same space at this point. Time and space, what's around us is a mental construct. We're in a standing wave of vibration that contains the summary of all vibrations, like a singular point that's no point at all. Our brain is decoding small variances in vibration and painting a picture of space and time, like a vast gulf of separation. Some of us in America, some of us in Australia, these are just psychological distinctions between variances in vibration. We're all actually right on top of each other. My body is within your body is overlapped to mine. The air that I'm breathing is overlapped to the air that you're breathing. Our brains are just painting different space-time pictures, but the metaphysical fact is that we're right on top of each other. So it's getting really strong now. I'm going to move to the left and to the right some more, so more of you can feel me. Now I'm going to move forwards and backwards. Okay, a lot more people are tapped in now. If you're listening to the broadcast in the future from a recording, I want you to realize that you're equally as much a part of this as people that here are now, because time also is a picture painted through vibration. Everything is happening simultaneously. So the energy that the group is feeling now equally includes listeners from the future that are tapping into this. So by all means, don't use your mind, which is in the electromagnetic spectrum, to decide that the time is separating you from this, or that will become the truth, because that's how it works. It's inseparably fused to your mind. So decide that you are equally as much a part of this, and that becomes the truth. Okay, I'm going to fuse completely into the group energy now. Now that we've got a good solid core established, I'm going to begin to expand our presence outward as well. So start to view the skin of the body as being an artificial barrier, because it is. Everything is an artificial construct, a mental construct. But in particular, I want you to focus on right now on the skin being an artificial barrier that we set up as consciousness to give ourselves a sense of distinction between internal and external. But ultimately, there is no difference. The only thing that exists is internal. It's all internal. So begin to view the skin of the body as being an artificial barrier and just begin to let it drop. All right, very, very good. A lot of you are hooked in now, and you feel the air now equally as you feel the energy within your body. So just keep dropping that skin barrier and the vibration of the air will begin to penetrate and go inside of you. It's very fast. It's very incredibly electrically charged energy. And I'm going to begin to project the rose quartz now into the air, and I'm going to make it more solid for everybody. So it might be a little uncomfortable at first. It might feel like you're breathing underwater, but just rest assured that in this thicker energy, more energy is created per breath. So even though it seems like it's a little harder to breathe, you are generating a vast, the quantity of energy you're generating is vastly increased. Same thing with per heartbeat. Very good. Okay, now I'm going to begin to synchronize our heartbeats. So if you feel your heart skip a little bit, don't be alarmed. That's just us beginning to beat hearts as one. You'll notice a vast amount of more energy coming from your heart and going outwards. It might even feel like your heart gets constricted a little bit, but don't let that scare you at all, because that's just your heart being in a greater density of energy, which means that it's generating more energy per beat. So it's nothing to be alarmed about. Right now, it feels like my heart is turning into solid crystal, yet it's still beating. Okay, from here, I'm going to begin to overlap our breath with our heart. And I say our because that's how it is now. It's our heart. We have one heart. We're all on the same pulse right now. And I'm going to begin to crisscross the breath over the heartbeat, which will amplify both the breath and the heartbeat energy that we share. Okay, now that we got that, I'm going to remind everybody to drop the skin barrier once again if you've reformed it, and feel what's external from your body equally as you feel what's internal, the energy that you feel inside. Feel your internal energy, feel the external energy, and allow the two to become the same thing. The skin of the body will begin to disappear in your perception, and it'll all become one giant internal mass of energy. I'm going to expand us outward once again and set a very strong layer over our bubble, our collective soul bubble. Okay, from here we're going to begin to purify. So we're going to use a combination of blue and white light, and we're going to begin to crystallize and going into cooling energies, or cold energy, which is feminine energy, which contains bliss, radiance, and love. And I want everybody to go deep within their self now. And these are all feelings. You got to understand that when we think in words and we think in images, it's just us compounding on what came before that, which is a feeling. And the feeling itself is the vast array of space-time data. So when you're doing manifesting, you don't have to go beyond the feelings, because all of the data for the type of world that you want is contained within the feeling that you hold within yourself. So it's actually a bit contrary to become overly imaginative in your mind, because that's a weaker energy than the actual emotion that creates all of this. When you get really deep into source consciousness, you'll see that you can just feel a feeling, and that feeling goes outward into the world and becomes mental structures of vast complication. It turns into songs, it turns into movies, it turns into whole synchronized events in reality. But basically, all of the power is contained within the feeling, within the emotion, and within the sensation. So, blue and white light, imagine glaciers of ice that you are within your body, outside of your body, same thing. We're becoming a glacier of blue-white ice, a frozen solid structure. Now go deep within this feeling of the type of world that we want to experience. We want purity, we want cleanliness, we want truth, we want love, we want brotherhood, we want sisterhood, we want understanding. We want everybody to learn energy. We want everybody to know that spirit is real, that we are more than this physical body. We want everybody to become connected. So within what I just said is contained a feeling, and we don't have to complicate it any more than that. So go into the feeling that was generated from what I just said and from what you also desire, and just hold it. Okay, now I'm going to begin to lock the energy of this really tight. We're going to begin to vibrate so fast that it's going to seem like our soul energy is going to freeze. Okay, we're getting really strong crystalline cool sensations right now. Some of you are actually freezing. I feel it. Like freezing as in, not ice cold, but your soul energy is locking, crystallizing, which is accompanied by a cold sensation, but not freezing. Okay, I'm going to go quiet for about 30 seconds now while I make us really nice and solid. Well, while we make us nice and solid. There's really no individual once we form the group energy, but okay, I'm going to go quiet. Okay, now that we're stabilized solid into a group energy and we're holding the type of feeling we want, we're going to reach out through the fourth dimension and into collective consciousness. We're going to break past our bubble and we're going to reach out for the media. Now, to do this, all you really need to do is use your own psychological associations, symbols for it. So whatever represents media to you, like you can see in your mind, you can go NBC, ABC, the name of a news anchor, large organizations, corporations, anything that your consciousness associates with media can be the plug-in tool for you to access that part of the collective. So reach out now with that. Reach out as far as you can, and I'm going to magnetize us in while we do it and pull it into our bubble. Okay, now I'm going to seal us back up. Go back into the blue and white light. You can see how it's all changed. Like my left crystal is buzzing with electricity right now because there's so much variance. But all we got to do is stay in the love, stay in the purity, stay in the feeling of what we want, and hold this inward magnetism. And what we've pulled into ourselves is going to have no choice but to conform. Because love always wins. Love is gravity. It's an inescapable force if it's held properly. So keep magnetizing on the inward breath. Keep feeling, visualizing, whichever way you use, the blue and white light, freezing cold, locking into a crystalline structure. And we're just going to keep this up until the variance stops, until the buzzing stops, until the heat ceases. Almost there. Okay. Okay, we're good. Okay. Now let's reinforce once again the feeling of the type of world that we want before we reach back out again. Feel back into it. Okay, now I'm going to begin to expand this out once again. Going to open a hole in our bubble. Now let's all reach out together towards the financial collective. Once again, any psychological symbols that you relate to it. It could be a dollar bill. It could be the money symbol. It could be major banks and corporations. Whatever your psychology relates to the financial collective, push that out, 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 tap in. Okay, now I'm going to start pulling all of that in. Pull it in with me using the in-breath. In, like a 360-degree bear hug of love from all angles, all directions. Okay, now I'm going to seal that off. Okay, let's just hold this. Oh, God, I'm sweating. Blue and white light. Hold it tight. Keep compressing the energies with every in-breath. No emphasis on the exhale. Okay, getting close. Just keep letting the energies contract. You can tell the difference between our energy and what we've brought in because it manifests like gassy bubbles or pockets that want to expand or like escape. And you just hold them. You don't let them escape. You put the inward pressure with the love, the gravity, until those little bubbles just pop. And nothing remains but our huge collective bubble of loving, pure, truthful energy. Very close. I just feel like one little bubble that's like really doing a good job of resisting. It's up near like the top left of our chest. Okay, there we go. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to hold the group energy with you guys. And this is where you use what we've created, the connection that we have, what we share with each other for whatever you need in your life, whether it's healing for yourself or for a loved one or for a manifestation, need a new house, need a new car, need a job, need a significant other, whatever you want. Now's the time to do it. And the way you do it is by holding desire in your heart. So you can use your head to visualize whatever it is that you need. And you will notice that when you do that, that visualization has a feeling. Like it feels a certain way to be healed, feels a certain way to get that job that you want or that partner that you desire. Once you've got the feeling, allow that to sink down into your chest, into your high heart, like right behind your breastplate, and just hold it there. The longer you're able to hold the feeling of what it is that you need in your high heart, the more exponential that manifestation becomes. The energy of the entire group right now is available for each individual in equal strength. That's the benefit of being collective. That's the benefit of being unified, is that each and every one of us becomes as strong as the whole entire group. So I'm just going to hold this space for the next minute or two. Okay, now let's take what we've gathered and just blast it outward. We're going to expand our presence as far and wide as we can. And release. Okay, everybody can come out of it at their own speed. You guys there?
Yes, I'm here.
It's awesome.
Kinda. Whew.
Yeah. Very euphoric.
Awesome.
So I don't know. For me, I felt a lot more resistance on the financial. Like when we tapped that, it got like electrical. Like the variance between what we were holding and the part of the financial collective that we pulled in was so intense. Like I was just moving and buzzing everywhere until we held it long enough.
I guess we're getting deeper and deeper into it, which should be interesting to see what then manifests over the coming week. If we are starting to get down into the core of it. But yeah, I mean, I just feel myself as it goes on, I just get sucked in more and more and heavier and heavier, and I'm almost a puddle before we even really get to drawing the energies in.
Yeah, like liquid.
How's everybody in the chat room doing?
Liquid energy.
Wakey. Yeah, it's thick. It's so thick.
Yeah.
It's like a warm syrup, like molasses. Okay, I think I don't know if we lost everybody that's in the chat room. Are you guys okay? Come back.
I don't know if I'm missing something. I just feel really excited and happy.
Good, nice.
Yeah, the thing that's sticking out so much are the relationships expanding and, moving into focus on the interconnect, just the interrelationships, like meeting different aspects of yourself and like different people who are like differentiated from you, like just that enjoyment of doing that, but with people who are more resonant with where you want to be. I feel it.
Yeah, George has just said that his experience was more intense this week. Do you think that's a pattern? The more we do this, the more intense it'll get for each of us?
Oh yeah, for sure, because each individual has to become more comfortable with the group energy so that they have more presence within it, and each individual that succeeds in doing that vastly increases the strength of the group energy, because it actually doubles for every person that successfully merges with the group. The group energy doubles for every single person. So it becomes exponentially more strong for each individual that's able to merge effectively into the group.
And there have been moments, I forgot to mention this earlier, there were moments over the last couple of weeks that in the moment, I put it down to people joining the collective, like somebody listening to the archive and having the collective little bubble that we've created just sort of expand a bit. There was maybe 3 moments in the last 2 weeks where I felt that. Like, oh, someone just joined. It was kind of cool. I feel you strong. Linda. Oh. Linda P.
Yeah, that's
yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, once again, thank you very much, Michael.
My honor.
And guys, don't forget, if you come across any stories in regards to financial or media, please put them on our Facebook page, the Collective Imagination Facebook page. Or if you want to share a personal experience in relationship to the meditation, also, please put it there. Jeff says, I embraced individuals in the financial and media. They became aware they were playing on the wrong side, but the wrong side was so addicting and may relapse and go back to the wrong side. I asked them to burn their bridges so they couldn't go back to the wrong side. they burned their bridges. So here we all are on one side now. Nice, Jeff. Yeah. Okay. As usual, I'm, absolutely useless after that. Is there anything you guys want to say before we sign off?
Sorry for the tattooing sound. I have a loose fan or something on my computer. I'll either fix it or use a different computer next week. But guys, it's always an honor to blend energies with you and to share, what I know about energy and just to be here each week and to be a part of this. I'm honored to be here and. Much love to you all and have a great week. And remember that what we're doing, this group energy, it's not just during these meditations. Like in various degrees, you're going to see during the week that you have more energy, more support, more power behind you for every single thing you do. So we are literally forming a soul family here, and each individual gets the benefit of the entire group energy. That's how it works. So there's just like more benefits to merging as one than can be imagined. We all share in each other's strengths. Uh, the type of knowledge that we have rubs off on each other, and I mean that literally. So those of us with different gifts in different areas, you're just going to find them rubbing off on others that are a part of the group energy. So I thank you guys for sharing your strengths with me and hope that you enjoy mine. Mine are all about energy, all about consciousness. That's what I'm all about. So enjoy.
Thank you, Michael.
When you were saying that, I was just suddenly getting the visuals of flocks of birds, the way they all move together and in unison.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing exactly when for one of them to step forward so that the leader can step back, and just a beautiful dance of unity. Yeah. So you've just apparently tattooed on Blue Star's heart. Oh, nice, Blue. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Mark. Pleasure to hear from you. Also, I noticed you sent me a message on Skype. I've just been away from my computer, but
No, it's all good.
I'll get to it, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
And we'll see you all again for the One People Show on Tuesday, and back again this time next week for more collective doings. Bye for now, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.